But first, a surprise move by the Kremlin has brought condemnations from leaders around the world, and that could seriously jeopardize East-West relations. In a move reminiscent of past Soviet leadership, Moscow today launched a military crackdown in the Baltic Republic of Lithuania in an attempt to stop the drive for independence there. We have two reports, beginning with ABC's Jim Laurie.
The deadly crackdown brought forth images of Beijing's Tiananmen or Prague 68 in its swiftness and disregard for civilian lives. Tank-led paratroopers struck at both the capital's transmission tower and broadcast center. Tanks crushed cars like flimsy toys. We saw one driver dead, trapped inside. Soldiers used nightsticks, smoke bombs, and at last, live ammunition. Several thousand unarmed Lithuanians had camped out at the installations in the belief that Moscow would not take the political risk of killing or wounding unarmed civilians. They were wrong. At its end, at least 13 lie dead, hundreds wounded. With daybreak Sunday, attention shifted to the Parliament building. Thousands of people gathered, many in shock and disbelief. Inside, the democratically elected government of President Landsbergis tried to carry on. Landsbergis called on the world to pay attention. At midday, a delegation from Moscow arrived. It was this delegation, encouraged by Gorbachev, that gave Lithuanians here a false sense of security and hoped the Kremlin would not force them to abandon their independence struggle. But it seemed clear the time for delegations had passed. Moscow seemed prepared to put into place an army-backed so-called Committee for National Salvation as a new government.
The effective ruler of this capital now is an Army Major General. He's ordered a curfew and set down martial law regulations. Regulations many here say they are determined to defy.
All day into night, men erected elaborate barricades to protect the parliament. The people who remain outside expected an all-out attack at any time. Tonight, though, it appears talks have begun between the military and the Landsbergis government, a last hope to avert a bloody final confrontation. Jim Laurie, ABC News, Vilnius, Lithuania.
This is Rick Endefirth in Moscow. They marched through the center of the Soviet capital, thousands of demonstrators chanting, "Freedom for Lithuania," and "Down with the executioners." Signs read, "Dress rehearsal for dictatorship," and "Saddam in Kuwait, Gorbachev in Lithuania." Speakers denounced the crackdown in the Baltic Republic and asked for a moment of silence for those killed in this morning's bloody assault. And Moscow's deputy mayor demanded an explanation from Mikhail Gorbachev.
Our president should immediately explain what's going on and who made the order.
Just last night, at a meeting of the Kremlin's Federation Council, the Soviet leader said no further force would be used against Lithuania while a commission went to investigate. Hours later, Soviet troops attacked. Today, Gorbachev's silence has been deafening. On Soviet television tonight, no appearance or statement by the Soviet president. Instead, an interview with Gorbachev's new hardline interior minister, who explained why it was necessary for the Soviet military to take steps to stabilize the situation. And these people fear they may be next. 250,000 Latvians rallied today to show solidarity with their Baltic neighbor to the south. Restoring order to the Soviet Union has become Mikhail Gorbachev's chief priority. But if repression proves to be one of his tools, he will clearly place at risk not only his domestic reforms, but his improved relations with much of the world community. Rick Endefirth, ABC News, Moscow.